Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pulp, where we keep everyone informed, connected, and inspired related to all things pro-con. Today, we're going to be discussing Independence Day and staying safe in those celebrations. So a quick shout out to all the pro-con employees that'll be out there celebrating with their family, having barbecues, watching fireworks, and some of you have the opportunity to make some double time with work that's available on the holiday as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I'm your host, Bob, with my co-host,
Maddie.
as always. And today we're going to have a special guest, Jayson Scott, our Paper Valley General Manager and Corporate Safety Director. Welcome, Jayson.
Hello, ProCon. Thank you, Maddie and Bob, for having me today.
Absolutely.
Excited.
We're going to make sure that before everybody lights that sparkler or fires up the grill, that they've got some safety tips to keep their fingers, faces, and freedom intact this 4th of July. So with that, let's start off by talking a little bit about what we like to do on the 4th. Any traditions or favorite activities?
I usually go up north, spend some time out on the water. We usually go boating on the Chena Lakes up in Eagle River and always end up at the fireworks show up in Land O'Lakes.
Oh, very nice.
We're out typical Lake of July.
Well, I live up in the Hayward area, so I spend a lot of time back in those backcountry streams, trout fishing and such like that. But I know many people go and get together with their friends and family to share a meal, cooking out, a lot of grilling going, and they got to get back to using that new pool that might have just been installed or getting out to the lake. But overall, what we're looking at is whatever that special activity that we're taking care of is that we want to go and do that planning, making sure the communication is good so that everybody can enjoy the intended purpose of that meal or that event instead of those activities or events that take place that were unscripted, and injuries take place.
Makes sense. And personally, my family loves to watch fireworks. We have an odd tradition where we drive around Appleton and watch all the different fireworks presentations that seem to always go on simultaneously in the Fox Valley. Yeah, that was
Absolutely.
so. Let's get into talking about water and heat safety, Jayson. What types of tips or advisement can we give to our employees, not only while they're at work, but at home in the heat and dealing with everything that comes along with it?
Well, many times when you're going out to the lake or the pool, big thing is communication, letting people know, well, once again, where you're going. You have the small people, little ones with you across the board. And it's that continuous point that really, if you're out there with your family, friends, all the important people in your life are right there with you. Lay down that phone. You don't need that distraction. Keep an eye on that little one. And even if they're not going to be going into the water, they're going to be in close proximity to it. What's it going to hurt to go and have those little floaties on there that buy you those extra seconds in which make a difference between a horrible accident or just an oops, and where we can go and make that correction right there. And it's really more of that communication and making sure that we're drinking and we're keeping everybody around us that's important to us in our line of sight and keeping those distractions to a minimum, because there's a lot of families that are going to be out there. A lot of people are going to be stressed and maybe not at their best. Yeah. And it's just one easy step to go and do that planning ahead of time. Make sure you have those rally points where everybody's going to come together and make sure everybody's drinking, bring the sunscreen and all those points and know the area that you're going to so you can plan accordingly.
For sure. There was a good fact that was shared during a corporate call earlier today that I want to bring up, and that had to do with the temperature of the water that we intake when it's hot out.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Better to bring in cool water as opposed to ice cold.
Absolutely. You don't want to send your system into shock because, with the symptoms of heat stress or even possibly heat exhaustion, where your body overall is consuming in areas, it's pulling that water from anywhere it can get. And it'd be more of like a hot engine where, it's just, you're flashing. If you bring in, super cold ice water, you very well can go and throw your system into a shock or low levels of hypothermia. Believe it or not,
right.
100 degrees outside.
Sounds unbelievable.
You could go into hypothermia from ice cold water, too much that you're intaking. So cool water and moderation across the board. You just want to keep yourself tapped off and drinking more water than you actually need. So that way that you're not running into those deficits where high, low, that You're just topping yourself off by just continuing to drink at all times.
So watch those little ones, know your surroundings and where you're going, and keep that water that you're taking in cool and not ice cold.
Absolutely.
All right.
I want to add in one thing Jayson and I were talking about before is that my family, we had an incident happen a couple of 4th of Julys ago where my husband was walking in the water returning a lost floaty to our neighbors, and he stepped on a clamshell and sliced his big toe open. So those water shoes really come in handy. They don't know what's in the water, whether it's
I'm a water shoe
bottle. Yeah, you
for that
should
reason.
a dork, but it's way worth it if you don't want stitches.
I always look like a dork, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, that's really good advisement. That's I make sure to have my water shoes handy anytime I go to the beach. Moving on from water to fire, I guess. Talk about one of my favorite summer traditions, and that's grilling.
Yes, whether it's propane or charcoal, each have, you got two different schools of thoughts on there. But the one thing that's want to have a takeaway, and we practice all the time in Procon, is maintaining your equipment, making sure that you're doing that inspection, especially if it's been sitting in your garage, it's been out of sight for a period of time. Take time to go and look at those hoses, those connections, make sure that tank is topped off. You don't want to go and be doing those things at the last minute, at the heat of the moment, and where, you have the pressure to get those burgers on there and be the people pleaser and such. Plan ahead, make sure it's already topped off, inspect those lines with some soapy water and make sure that we're not leaking. Because potentially most of those accidents take place once you go and swap out a new tank, or from a time where that grill's been sitting in the garage or in storage all winter. Typically, Wisconsin, we keep them fired up all year round, but some of those folks that take that break, that they might be transplants or something. So when they come on in, they bring it on out there. They want to do those inspections, make sure that some dirt daubers haven't moved into some of the tubes, and that those the overall hoses, connections, and such move freely. That they're not cracked and they're not leaking, because that's just not something that you want to go and find out. And placement, you want to make sure that grill is away from your the side of the house, your siding. You're going to find out real quick that you're going to need that space, because it does puts off a lot of heat. And with charcoal, it's using only enough starting fluid in order to go and get that engagement and started. Using it as an accelerant and spraying it might look cool, but once again, until it goes and catches the side of your house on fire or
zips back up into the container.
Absolutely. There's so many things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
So it's once again preparation, making sure your equipment's serviceable and ready to go.
This year, I made a commitment to delve back into the world of charcoal. And related to what you just said, I will highly recommend getting a charcoal chimney.
Yes.
As opposed to having to mess with any type of lighter fluid or the charcoals.
Right.
My neighbor turned me onto it and changed my charcoal life.
It works very well.
Yeah. And another piece of advisement, because this is a boneheaded move that someone like me would make if they didn't look into it, is going from the propane to the charcoal. I very quickly realized, there's not flare-ups with the charcoal because it's just the heat from the charcoal. Mm-hmm. I could probably use this in my garage on a rainy day.
Yeah.
No,
that's
right?
Bad idea.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to bring it up. I immediately Googled because I thought that might not be a good idea, but not because of fire, but
carbon monoxide build up. And once again, it does sound like a good idea that you're not seeing that odorless, colorless gas, but it is building up and it's cumulative. So even though you might not see the onset of those headaches or some of those symptoms early on, once again, you have those young people, smaller folks, and which the cumulative effects, they're going to affect them quicker, and they might be taking that nap. And by the time you feel it or you get those full symptoms, it may be too late for some of those young people. So
the only impact you want your grilling to have on young people is full bellies.
Yes, absolutely. Outside, free and clear with good ventilation.
100%.
Talking about taking care of equipment, have you guys seen recently, I think it's been the last few months or so, maybe it's been out there before, but the wire brushes for your grills being bad. The wires can come off and get stuck on there and then in the food and swallow. And I think there was like a young boy that died because he had swallowed and it got stuck in his esophagus. Yeah, so don't use a wire brush on your grill.
I don't want our podcast to become something that scares people, but between that and then going back to one of our first episodes, the microplastics that get stuck in the brain.
Yeah.
My goodness. You'll have to go back to episode 2, I think, to check up on that. We'll put something across the bottom of the screen.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. Anyhow, I think we have one more subject to talk about, and this is the one that results in the most blooper videos online, I think, but that's fireworks, right? Home fire safety.
Yes, sir. So many people every year fall victim into the treating fireworks as if they're toys. They're not. They're explosives. They're just panned down into most areas, and it's sort of foolish to go and believe that we all can go and be pyrotechnics experts for 2-3 days out of the year, where we're setting off mortars and all that. Best line of practice to go on to adopt is go see the public display that most of our towns and commonwealths are putting out there, generally free of charge. Or you can go and set up your seat out on the lake, out on in your boat, your favorite venue, share it together, no stress. With having, setting out the smaller fireworks, or even having the the little,
Sparklers?
Sparklers.
Yeah.
The sparklers. They burn at over 2,000 degrees. All right. So it puts out that wide sparkles, and everybody wants to go and zip them around and write their name with it real quick. One instantaneous contact, and that's could be very well a 3rd-degree burn.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
In which, once again, it's a scar they're going to see for the rest of their life, and that's not the memories that we want to put forth.
Not at all.
But that being said, if we are going to go and see that public forum event, if you have small people or small ones and such, hearing protection. If you want to make it something that's exciting for them and something that they're going to go and remember with a smile on their face, very well, I might want to have some hearing muffs or something that's going to go and baffle some of those large, it's loud, very loud flash bangs in which come across, in which can be very, very scary to young people. And if you want to make it a good overall event, something that's really memorable, and not have the nightmares for the next week or two with waking up in the middle of the night, it's hearing protection. And also with those sparklers or some of those other fireworks that they might have, or the small ones you're setting up at home, have a water bucket or a hose ready, and just be vigilant with them. Don't take your eyes off them, because it didn't take very long for something to go wrong.
100%.
I did look up some.
I was going to say, go ahead.
I looked up
Statistics.
some statistics on this. Okay, so fireworks are responsible for starting an average of 18,500 fires each year. Out of those, the fires include 1,300 structure fires, 300 vehicle fires, and 17,000 other outdoor fires. Then direct property damage from fireworks-related fires is estimated to be around $43 million annually. That is crazy.
It is.
Yeah. And this was in 2023, there were 9,700 fireworks-related injuries treated in U.S. hospital emergency departments. It's just in the U.S. alone.
And the amazing thing is that's year-round. Unfortunately, we're talking about it
Right.
for the 4th of July, but
Yeah, obviously most happen around
Outrageous.
the 4th, but
Yep.
we'll light fireworks on the time. So.
don't be that person that puts the mortar on your head and then lights it off. And trust me, a lot of those individuals that are on those videos you see online don't get to see those videos. If you catch my drift, right? So with that, let's be safe out there, everybody, and make sure we enjoy the holidays responsibly. So, Jayson, do you have a closing message? Maybe one thing you want to wish everybody would remember this weekend?
Planning, communication. Remember where your priorities are. And everybody that's really important to you, more than likely, is right in front of you. So set that phone down, put it off to the side, pay attention to the true priorities, the true value right in front of you, and enjoy yourself. Just be smart about it, plan ahead, and stay hydrated.
Absolutely. Best way to celebrate freedom is to make it to Monday with all your fingers intact.
Absolutely.
All right. So again, I want to just recap a few takeaways. Make sure that we're safe out there during this holiday period in regard to fireworks, grilling do's and don'ts, staying alert, and especially in all of these circumstances, looking out for the little ones. Just because it's a holiday doesn't mean that safety takes a break. So with that, I want to thank everybody for their time. Thank Jayson for joining us.
Thank you.
And as always, wish everybody to stay safe, stay curious, and keep making Procon great.